Good Thursday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us on a glorious Thursday to be above the mud. We're live in Charlottesville, across the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. We're presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the newest dispensary to open in Charlottesville on the downtown mall next to Rapture. I'm going to relay on this show my experience with Skooma and how David and his team at Skooma Boutique Dispensary are helping me sleep better than ever before. The network powered by Ting Fiber Internet. Crazy fast internet is Ting Fiber Internet. A lot to cover on today's program, boys and girls. We're going to talk high school football and pigskin and football in the Commonwealth already being in jeopardy due to this pandemic. That at the bottom of the show. We'll talk Louisa County Schools. Doug Straley, the superintendent of Louisa County Schools, a personal friend of mine. I love you, Doug Straley. Louisa County Schools are not requiring masks inside the buildings of schools in Louisa. That will be the lead, which we will get to in a matter of moments. Lynchburg is requiring masks inside their schools, Lynchburg, Virginia. Richmond, the mayor of Richmond, Mayor Stoney, on the front page of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, insisting that every Richmond, Virginia city employee will be vaccinated if they want to keep their job by October 1. Every employee of the city of Richmond mandated to get vaccinated if they want to keep their jobs by October 1. Germany, the country, Germany, thinking about a mandate for folks who are unvaccinated, a mandate that would severely strip the unvaccinated in Germany of freedoms and liberties that we take for granted. That story coming up for you on the I Love CVille Show. We'll introduce you to the newest business to open on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall, Crush Pad Wines. The team behind Bizou, the team behind Luce Pasta, the team behind The Space on the Downtown Mall, behind Bang Tapas, now introducing a new brand to their business portfolio. That story in a matter of minutes. On the show, we'll talk gambling machines and gas stations, a franchise business that was birthed in Richmond tied to dumpsters that I think has tremendous potential, a business that's for sale, and this is a different topic and storyline that I'll pass along to you, a business that's for sale for $55,000 that makes quite a bit of revenue around Halloween time. That story coming up. And Mike Tobey, former UVA basketball center, making some big-time headlines in the Olympics for the Luka Doncic-led Slovenia basketball team. Welcome to the program. The lead of the show undoubtedly has got to be schools, children, and Central Virginia. We told you earlier in the week that Albemarle County schools will require masks inside the buildings. If you're a student, a teacher, an administrator, and you're in Albemarle County schools or Charlottesville City schools, you will be wearing a mask inside the building while you are learning. Interestingly, Louisa County schools, about 45 minutes away from our studio here on Market Street, our building, the Macklin building, on Market Street. Louisa County schools are not requiring masks indoors for fully vaccinated students and staff. A very different approach for Louisa County schools Superintendent Doug Straley when compared to Albemarle, when compared to Charlottesville, and when compared to Lynchburg. Lynchburg City schools are requiring masks indoors as the school year begins very shortly. Folks, Louisa, less than half of the Louisa County community is fully vaccinated. School starts in Louisa on August 11th, which is in 6 days. In 6 days, students in Louisa go to school. So you got a community where less than half of it is fully vaccinated. You got school ready to begin in 6 days in Louisa County, and students and staff that are fully vaccinated do not have to wear a mask while inside the buildings of Louisa. Very interesting dichotomy how various school systems approach the management of COVID and vaccinations. Now, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I don't want to speculate. I'm strictly spitballing here. You have a community that's 45 minutes from the city of Charlottesville and Louisa. Less than half of the community is fully vaccinated in Louisa. The school system is not requiring its 5,000 plus students to wear masks inside the building. Remember, 12 and under, ages 12 and under, have not been vaccinated. In fact, you could make a legitimate argument that the majority of the students, 5,000 in school at Louisa, the large majority of these 5,000, remember, kids 12 and under have not been vaccinated. Remember, the community in totality has a less than 50% vaccination rate in Louisa. You can use those two tidbits to extrapolate that the majority of the 5,000 students in the buildings of Louisa are not vaccinated. In 6 days, those children, those kids, those teenagers go into antiquated buildings, poorly ventilated buildings, buildings that are not clean like they should, hallways that are cluttered, clustered, busy with backpack kids going from classroom to classroom. 5,000 of them in the hallways, unmasked. Time will tell what happens. Time will tell what happens. But the I Love CVille Oddsmakers, have Louisa and its football team and its athletic teams as potentially the most vulnerable for a pause or cancellation of fall sports seasons because everything I just outlined and described to you. Now you're going to say, Jerry, they're trying to get these these seasons in. They want fall sports to happen. Fall sports is a very important aspect of teenagers, middle school students, high school students, and their assimilation, how they interact, their self-confidence. Well, did you know that we've already started fall practice? And according to the Virginia High School League, there are already multiple schools that have had to stop football practice because of this pandemic. Allegheny High School football program on pause because of COVID. Stafford football program, about an hour, 90 minutes depending on traffic from Charlottesville, paused because of COVID. Lake Taylor football program, paused because of COVID. Central Lunenburg football program, paused due to COVID. Less than a week into the Virginia High School League football practice schedule, and already four high schools have had their football practices paused because of COVID. More on that later in the show. So our first topic, we're going to put a bow on it. The jurisdiction of Louisa County. Less than half of the citizens in Louisa have been fully vaccinated. Louisa County says yesterday that students and staff who are vaccinated will not have to wear a mask inside. 0 to 12, 12 and under students can't be vaccinated because we don't have enough science to determine what the vaccination will do to the health of kids, of children age 12 and under. The I Love CVille Oddsmakers have Louisa on a very short list. And this short list basically says this school system will potentially be the first impacted from a pause or a cancellation of its fall sports season because of everything I just outlined. Lynchburg schools, by a 7-2 school board vote, said kids in the hallways and schools inside will wear the mask. Richmond and its mayor, Mayor Stoney, on record, every single city employee in the capital of the Commonwealth must be fully vaccinated by October 1. Mayor LeVar Stoney announced the directive yesterday as cases in Richmond and across the country are on the rise again. LeVar Stoney said city employees, including those who have already been vaccinated, will need to submit documentation of their vaccination status or first dose by August 18th. The vaccine mandate applies to all city employees, including police, fire, public works, and utility staff members. How much do you want to bet? And here's another line coming from the I Love CVille Oddsmakers, another betting line. After Mayor LeVar Stoney announced yesterday that every single Richmond city employee must be vaccinated by October 1, how much you want to bet that Mayor Nakia Walker in Charlottesville City is having this exact conversation with Councilors Lloyd Snook, Sienna McGill, Heather Hill, and Michael Payne? Let's take it a step further. Is anyone willing to put up a Benjamin that Charlottesville City Council will require or will not require vaccinations for all Charlottesville City employees by sometime this fall? My instinct, my gut, my crystal ball, my vision, my intuition, my hunch says Mayor Walker is leading a charge currently with City Council and City Hall leadership to have all employees of the Charlottesville City government vaccinated in the very near future, or they cannot return to work. Remember, yesterday, we learned that city council meetings in the city of Charlottesville will remain virtual instead of going back to in-person because of the rise and spread of the Delta variant. There is often a trickle-over, trickle-down effect, a keeping up with the Joneses effect. And when a municipality like Richmond and its mayor LeVar Stoney says all employees of Richmond must be vaccinated by October 1, I can assure you that will influence other progressive jurisdictions like Charlottesville City. Time will tell, but the I Love CVille Oddsmakers predict a mandate coming from council and city hall no later than September 15th. That's the over-under of an all vaccination mandate for city employees in Charlottesville, Virginia by September 15th. Time will tell. You got 25,000 students set to return to Charlottesville at the University of Virginia in T-minus 13 days. You got schools, public and private, about to start with moms and dads and little Johnnies and little Susies set to return from summer vacation in less than 3 weeks. You have a collision of a lot of things, including cooler months ahead. And when winter is on the horizon, we know we spend more time indoors than outside. Let's watch closely what transpires in our fair city. The next topic comes from Wall Street. Wells Fargo is delaying the return of in-office work by at least a month. Wells Fargo initially had a target date of September 7th for all in-person work at this banking behemoth. That September 7th date has been pushed back to October 4th because of the Delta variant. Wells Fargo, a banking behemoth, undoubtedly will influence other banking institutions. Boys and girls, let's get to some global news and get ready for this. Germany, its health minister and its government are pursuing a winter COVID strategy that could see unvaccinated people face extremely tough restrictions. Some would argue that undoubtedly challenge their liberties and their freedoms. The health minister of Germany has outlined a proposal to Parliament and representatives of Germany's 16 states detailing how the country plans to manage COVID in the coming months, in particular the colder winter months when the virus spreads more rapidly. This outline includes a proposal that would limit unvaccinated individuals from being able to do a lot of things, including patronizing shops, restaurants, hairdressers, beauty salons, indoor sports, outdoor venues, indoor venues, and music venues. This rule or mandate is called the 3G rule, and it refers to the German terms for vaccinated, recovered, and tested. When translated, the words vaccinated, recovered, and tested into German language, each of these words, vaccinated, recovered, and tested, starts with a G. That's the 3G rule. The health ministry proposing a policy and mandate to Germany's 16 federal states that says in a nutshell, if you live in Germany and you have not been vaccinated, you will not be allowed to go into shops, into restaurants, into any indoor venues, any outdoor venues. Basically, you will be required in a lot of ways to stay at your house or be somewhere outside, as long as that being outside does not include stepping foot in a business or a venue or a restaurant or a shop or an arena or a venue of any kind. There are roughly 44.5 million people in Germany. 44.5 million people. Of the 44.5 million people, roughly 53% of the population is fully vaccinated. That percentage is better than our country, the US. The health minister and leadership in this country is not messing around. Let's see the influence that has on other countries. Germany, one of the first to issue an edict potentially, to issue a mandate potentially that will strip the freedom and the rights of the unvaccinated in its country. Next headline on today's program comes from the downtown mall. Then we will hear from Alex Urpi. Then I'm going to relay a business that's for sale for $55,000. I'm going to give you an update on gambling machines and gas stations. I'm going to pass along a new franchising business out of Richmond that I think has a lot of potential here for Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We'll talk former UVA center Mike Tobey in the Olympics. And I will dot the I's and cross the T's on high school football this fall and whether football in the Commonwealth at the high school level is in jeopardy from actually being a reality. Time will tell. Crush Pad Wines, Judah Wickower, our fabulous director. Let's get the photos on screen. Crush Pad Wines is the newest brand in business from a restaurant group that is one of the best in this community. Crush Pad Wines by Vincent of Bizou, of Bang Tapas, of The Space, of Luce Pasta. Vincent and Rachel and Tom Walters and Wes McCullen opening up a wine bar and retail shop right next to Christian's Pizza. There are 3 restaurant groups on the downtown mall that have really driven the culinary scene with their portfolio of brands. Wilson Ritchie immediately comes to mind. The man has his fingers in so many brands and businesses. Revolutionary Soup, the Whiskey Jar, the Bebedero, the Pie Chest, the Alley Light, the Wine Guild. He helped open or owns or manages some of those brands, and in opening capacity, managing capacity, investor capacity, partner capacity. He was also at one time running Commonwealth Sky Bar, Draft Tap Room, and Brazier Saison. This guy, in a lot of ways, is the downtown mall, Wilson Ritchie. Vincent and his team, one of the first to do it on the downtown mall, with the Metropolitan, a restaurant that no longer is in existence, but one that helped build the mall's reputation for culinary excellence. Vincent and his team, Bizou, they own and operate. If you have not had the meatloaf at Bizou, you're missing a gift from God. It's that good. Vincent and his team behind Luce Pasta. Vincent and his team behind Bang Tapas. Vincent and his team behind The Space Downtown, a rental venue for weddings, rehearsal dinners, and private parties. Now Vincent and his team behind Crush Pad Wines, a new wine bar and shop next to Christian's Pizza. Now, boys and girls, German Shepherds and Chow Chows, this is not the first time a wine bar and shop has tried to run, to exist, to survive on the downtown mall. You have tastings over here across from NBC 29 and right next to the Market Street Garage. Still in operation. Ownership of Tastings also owns the Court Square Tavern. Remember Sips on the downtown mall? Sips on the downtown mall. Had a cup of coffee. From a business standpoint, from being in an operation standpoint, Sips did not work. Had to close its doors. There was another wine bar that existed on the downtown mall that the name is escaping me right now. At one time, there were 3 of them. Tastings, Sips, and this third one. Tastings, the only one to survive. Vincent and his team are going to do Crush Pad Wines. If you know anything about this team, you know they do restaurants the right way. You know they know wine inside and out. I expect this business to have phenomenal customer service, a wine list that is holy, a wine list that is robust, a wine list that is second to none. The question we have to ask, is there enough slices of the pie to go around for everyone? It's a saturated category. Now, they'll have the benefit of novelty of being new, and the benefit of novelty of being the new shiny thing is people flood your business as you open your doors. Is it sustainable? That's the question. The third restaurant group is the Andy McClure-led group. Andy McClure owns Citizen Burger Bar. I would bet that Citizen Burger Bar in the downtown mall does the most gross revenue of any business, any restaurant business in downtown Charlottesville. I'd say Citizen Burger Bar is a clear-cut one from a gross revenue standpoint on the downtown mall. Andy also, with his brother Patrick, have Citizen Bowl Shop right off the downtown mall with the Shaughnessy brothers, John and Scott. He's a part of Bell in Belmont. Andy, also the owner of the Biltmore and of the Virginian. He has a Citizen Burger Bar in Carytown, Richmond, where he recently purchased the building that Citizen Burger Bar Carytown is located in. You have 3 restaurant groups, Wilson Ritchie's, Vincent's, and Andy McClure's, that often, and heck, Corin Capshaw's got his hands in a number of restaurants as well. Those 4 guys, those 4 groups are really leading the charge in a lot of ways. That's not to say that they're the best. It's just to say they have the most brands in their portfolio. All right, Judah, let's get the sound from Alex Urpi ready. Recently, in fact, it was on Tuesday's show, we explained to you that de Blasio, the mayor of the Big Apple, is putting a mask mandate in place. And this mask mandate requires the wearing of masks at pretty much any inside business venue or operation. This mask mandate unintentionally has collateral damage and consequences. The mask mandate gives an undeniable edge to big business that has strong cash positions on its balance sheet. When you require masks and proof of vaccinations, which de Blasio's doing, to go into a business masks and proof of vaccinations in the Big Apple if you want to go inside, if you want to eat inside, listen to music inside, watch sports inside, drink beer or wine or cocktails inside, chill with your homies inside. You have to show proof of vaccination in the Big Apple and wear a mask. The businesses that have the large cash positions are the ones that can afford to basically have a vaccination bouncer at their door, pay personnel to check proof of vaccination, and demand masks that are worn. The collateral damage of this policy is it prioritizes big business, often chains, with strong balance sheets, as opposed to the mom and pops that are scraping and surviving with just a couple of weeks of cash in the bank. Where are you going to find the personnel to put at your door if you're mom and pop when you can't even staff your restaurant accordingly? Where are you going to find the money if you're a mom and pop to do the vaccination bouncer at the door? Furthermore, collateral damage that potentially is not being considered by de Blasio. How does this impact businesses that are owned by folks of color? It's very clear-cut, and the numbers prove what I'm about to say. White people are getting vaccinated at a faster and more frequent clip than people of color. Google it and look it up. That's a statistical fact. If white people are getting vaccinated at a quicker clip, at a more frequent clip than people of color, how is that going to impact business? Does that give the edge to businesses that are owned by white people? Very well, perhaps. Very well, perhaps. Let's hear what Alex Urpi has to say about this, Judah Wickower. If you could cue up that sound in 3, 2, 1.
No, it is a very interesting scenario what's happening up in New York City. And the reason I say that is because we're rapidly reaching a point where what troubles me is just from a business owner perspective up there, because what we're seeing in New York City is the city saying, we have a goal that we want to achieve, which is basically we don't want people who are not vaccinated to eat indoors, to go to the gym indoors, to be indoors, basically, right? But New York City is either basically saying we don't have the manpower to enforce this or don't wish to enforce this ourselves, so we are going to turn small business owners into our agents of the state, essentially. And I think that's a big onus to put on small business owners. And I think particularly, just thinking as a Latino small business owner, I think a particular emphasis on minority small business owners, because we tend to have very small businesses, so you're giving them a lot of requirements that they now have to think about. You're basically saying they have to enforce with people who come into their store proof of vaccination. And some people are going to have their little apps, I'm sure. Some people are going to show you a card. Do you as a small business owner have any idea whether that card is an actual vaccination proof or it's just some card that somebody printed at home? And are you going to be held liable if it's not? And I think it's a very difficult situation that they're putting particularly small business owners in. And unfortunately, because of the fact that vaccination rates are very different, minorities are much less vaccinated right now than white Americans. I'm wondering if we were going to see a little bit of a racial gap here where a lot of minorities are going to be unable to participate in certain aspects of life because they have not yet taken the vaccine, whereas the larger quantity of white Americans that have taken it, because they've been more comfortable historically doing so, are going to be able to go in and do whatever they want. So it's an interesting scenario that I think we're seeing here, both from a perspective of who's taking it and who hasn't, and from small business owners and the challenges that they're going to face in New York City right now, and we'll see where else that goes.
That's Alex Urpi, the CEO of Emergent Financial Services. Emergent Financial Services, trusted name in the game. Guys, if you want to grow your wealth, if you want to get to retirement a little bit quicker and a little bit faster and a little bit easier, there's one firm for you, and it's Emergent Financial Services. The Urpi family as good as it gets. Neil Williamson, thank you, my friend, for the help. The other wine bar that was on the downtown mall, Neil Williamson drops this in the comment section, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Donate and support to the Free Enterprise Forum. When you see Neil Williamson walking around the street, give him a flying chest bump. He loves flying chest bumps, and he loves birdies at Green Hills Golf Club. We love Neil Williamson on this show. He says the other wine bar was Vavino on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall. Thank you, Neil Williamson. So at one time, the Charlottesville Downtown Mall had 3 wine bars that were wine bars and retail shops. You had Sips, you had Vavino, and you had Tastings. Vavino and Sips did not make it. They could not withstand the test of time and gain the market share they needed to keep their business in the black and their lights on and their staff paid. Tastings by Market Street Garage, still in operation. The owner of Tastings also owns Court Square Tavern. Vincent, Rachel, Wes, and Tom are getting in the game with Crush Pad Wines. Get that storefront pic on screen if you could, please, sir, Judah Wickhauer. Right next to Christian's Pizza. A wine bar and retail shop with a wine list that would leave the Pope jealous. The Pope likes a glass of wine from time to time, right, Judah? I would think the Pope likes a glass of wine from time to time. Scott Aaronworth, the Esquire from Virginia Beach, he says Bell in Belmont is fantastic. I agree. If you haven't tried Bell in Belmont, Scott Shaughnessy, John Shaughnessy, these dudes know how to run a bakery and breakfast and lunch joint. Bell in Belmont. All right, next storyline, guys. And if you have anything you want to relay, put your thoughts in the comment section. Thoughts in the comment section. Questions in the comment section of any of the social media platforms you're watching the show upon. I will mention your thoughts and comments on air. Let's talk about a business that's for sale. $55,000 asking price for the Halloween store. You're familiar with the Halloween store, right? It pops up around September every year. The Halloween store often targets a forgotten shopping center, a dilapidated storefront, and you blink and you miss it, and next thing you know, the Halloween store is open somewhere, selling Superman costumes and Batman costumes and Hollywood and Halloween, festive swag and merch and stuff to enjoy the holiday. As soon as Halloween's over, within a couple days, the storefront is empty. This business is for sale. $55,000. $55K asking price gets you, according to their for sale listing, which was sent to me this morning by the owner. The $55,000 asking price gets you, according to the owner, over $130,000 in inventory, all the fixtures you need, shelving, pegs, mannequins. The store is generally operated in an 8,000 square foot retail storefront. That is humongous. The owner says this is a great opportunity for someone looking for strong seasonal income, not year-round income. We're talking strictly September, October, November, December. We're talking strictly back end of Q3, early Q4 income. By November 1, November 2nd, you're closing your doors. You're negotiating a 2-month lease. You're targeting a shopping center that's forgotten, dilapidated, demoralized, depressed, and downright disturbed. You're going to the management company or the ownership of the shopping center and saying, I want to do a pop-up for 2 months. I want to put this Halloween seasonal business in there. I'm going to give you 2 months rent, maybe 2.5 months rent, and I'm piecing the hell out of the OK Corral. 55 G's asking price for the Halloween store, $130K in inventory, all the shelving and fixtures and mannequins and pegs that you need. The owner says a fantastic opportunity for someone that's looking for seasonal income. The Hollywood store for sale. If you have a business for sale, I'm happy to generate some buzz for you on this network, just like we did with Hot Cakes and Barracks Road Shopping Center. As soon as we talked about Hot Cakes being for sale on this show, a number of inquiries went into the business broker that's managing the deal. All right, let's talk skill machines or gambling machines in the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is a topic I did not have time to get to on Tuesday's show. Have you been into a convenience store or a gas station? Heck, even some restaurants have these. And you've seen some folks sitting on stools, mesmerized by a video screen, playing some kind of game, pumping dollar bills into the game, hoping for some dollar bills to come back at them. Well, those things are called skill games. Skill games. These skill games were banned on July 1 after a very short run. And the reason the skill games were legalized by Governor Northam and the delegates in Richmond is because of the fear of revenue shortage associated with the pandemic. The governor, the delegates, they said, you know what? Let's allow these skill games, tax the skill games, and utilize the revenue from the skill games at these convenience stores and gas stations to help us dig out of a potential hole that's the pandemic. A lot of these skill games you saw in gas stations and convenience stores that are owned and operated by folks of color or minorities. In fact, a couple days ago, 100 small business owners, 100 individuals that own the gas stations and convenience stores gathered together with Senator Morrissey to lobby, petition, and fight for skill games and the ability for them to bring them back to market. These 100 business owners were Asian, Indian, and minority descent. They called this bill that's being used against them the Alibaba bill because they feel they're being unfairly targeted. 100 of them, business owners, gathered together and said, these skill games are our livelihood. It's how we keep our lights on, our mortgages paid, our family and staff paid, and how we keep our businesses going forward. It's one of our main sources of revenue. They continued with this. They said, Virginia is allowing casino gambling in the very near future. Virginia is allowing online gambling in the very near future. However, you're disallowing skill game gambling in our convenience stores, and they feel that's a catch-22 or a contradiction. Today, this group of business owners, backed by Senator Morrissey, are lobbying the governor in Richmond, asking, if not demanding, that these skill games be brought back online and become a reality in these convenience stores and gas stations. I'm torn on this. And why I'm torn on this is for a number of reasons. The libertarian in me says government should not restrict business owners, their family, and their staff from being able to make a buck, especially when that same government is allowing casinos to come online, DraftKings, Penn National Gaming, and other online sports books to be able to do business in Virginia. You're allowing publicly traded big business, and you're prioritizing casino companies, some out of Las Vegas, some out of Canada, some backed by major Indian tribes, and you're allowing these big businesses to open brick and mortar casinos in the Commonwealth. You're allowing the DraftKings of the world, the Penn National Gamings of the world, to be able to do business online in the Commonwealth, the FanDuels of the world, from an online gambling standpoint. Yet that same government is saying to mom and pop convenience stores and gas stations, not so fast, my friends, in the words of Lee Corso. No, you can't have these skill games in your convenience stores. That seems to be a catch-22. It seems to be a hypocrisy or a contradiction. However, the other side of my medulla oblongata thinks this. The individuals I see sitting on these stools in these convenience stores, often in the corner of these convenience stores, are gambling and pissing away their money in the middle of the workday, playing a game that is being branded as skilled, when in reality, it's gambling. The odds are stacked so against you that you don't even realize you're pissing away one of your most important commodities, your money. These skill games prey on customers and individuals that are often under-resourced. That's two words for poor. And undereducated. These skill games reinforce the class system. You don't see lawyers and doctors and bankers, business owners. You don't see professors. You don't see white-collared individuals sitting on four-legged stools tucked in the corner of gas stations, pumping cash money into machines with a glimmer and a hope of maybe getting a little more jack back that day. You just don't. You see under-resourced and under-educated folks on these stools, pumping cash money into these machines, but not getting the jack back that day. I'm torn on this. How does government in Virginia prioritize brick and mortar casinos? How does government in Virginia prioritize FanDuel, DraftKings, and Penn National online wagering? Yet government in Virginia kiboshes and squashes the skill games in the convenience stores. Does that not reek of some hypocrisy to you? That's what I smell. Hypocrisy. And is it get back to that Darwinism mentality? Survival of the fittest? Allow anyone and everyone to do whatever they want, and the strong will survive, and the weak will die? The strong will prosper, and the weak will suffer? Is that the mentality we should have? Or do we bring EQ, emotional intelligence, and some empathy to governance, and we say the skill games are preying on the most vulnerable in the Commonwealth? That's a conversation for your cocktail party. Certainly one at my cocktail parties. All right, the next topic on today's show, and thank you for joining us on the I Love CVille Show, is an interesting franchising business that's coming out of Richmond. The company is called Mobile Dumps. You heard me correctly, Mobile Dumps. It's a Richmond-based dumpster rental company. Mobile Dumps rents 14 cubic yard dumpsters to residential and commercial users. These 14 cubic yard dumpsters that are rented to residential and commercial users come on wheels. It basically looks like a dumpster on a pickup truck. You rent the pickup truck that has the dumpster on it. You take it to wherever you need to go. You're moving out. You're closing a business. You're clearing out a rental property, whatever the hell you need. You can put all your junk, all your dumpster stuff in the bed of this dumpster on the pickup truck, and you drive it to the dump. The CEO and founder's name is Cam Morrison. He's now franchising his business. It's somewhat synonymous with the hunks who junk moving business. I'm getting that brand wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. But this is legitimately the rental of dumpsters on pickup trucks. And he's now looking to franchise the business and sell territory rights. This business does not exist in Central Virginia. Someone prove me wrong. Is there a mobile dumpster business that exists within 50 miles of the city of Charlottesville? I don't think there is. This franchise will have success in this region. You got 25,000 students that come in and out of this community every year. Their crap and their stuff is left behind. A mobile dumpster franchise in Central Virginia would stack paper. The business founded in Richmond, now looking to franchise. A couple more items out of the notebook. Is anyone following Mike Tobey, former UVA center, and what he's doing in the Olympics? He's playing on the Slovenia basketball team, a team led by Luka Doncic, one of the best basketball players in the world. Slovenia just lost to France. So now they're playing in the bronze medal match, bronze medal game. Mike Tobey got citizenship in Slovenia, originally from New York, Mike Tobey. Got his citizenship in Slovenia. Slovenia, because of that citizenship and passport, put him on the Olympic roster. This dude is averaging a double-double points and rebounds. A double-double in points and rebounds, Mike Tobey. Mike Tobey, a guy that had tremendous potential at UVA, I would say who likely never lived up to his greatest potential in Charlottesville, Mike Tobey, is now playing on the Olympic stage. And he's leading all Olympians in rebounding at 12.5 boards per game. He's tied with Luka Doncic for the most double-doubles in the Olympics with 3. He plays professional basketball in Spain, and he's getting legitimate playing time against professional athletes throughout this Olympic experience. Mike Tobey, we salute you on the I Love CVille Network. I want to talk high school football in the Commonwealth of Virginia and whether or not we will see football practice, football games, and football programs pause their season and or cancel their season. Allegheny High School has already paused its practice schedule due to COVID-19. Stafford High School has paused its football program due to COVID-19. Lake Taylor High School has paused its football program due to COVID-19. So has Central Lunenburg. 4 high school programs in the first 4 days of high school football practice have paused their programs due to the pandemic. To start the show, I outlined Louisa County, who has 5,000 students returning to the classroom in 6 days. 5,000 of them. These 5,000 will not be required to wear a mask if they're fully vaccinated while inside the classroom. Less than half of the Louisa County community has been fully vaccinated. I'm going to ask this question. Is high school football in jeopardy this fall? I say the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. The next question you have to ask, if you're an odds maker, and I got some gamble to me. If you're an odds maker, what kind of odds do you put on the Jefferson District high school football season? Jefferson District, the primary district here in Central Virginia for high school football. Monticello, Charlottesville, Albemarle, all the teams in the Jefferson District for the most part, public school teams. What kind of odds do you put that the Jefferson District high school football season will play in totality from start to finish? I'd say those are negative odds. I'd say if you bet $100 that the Jefferson District football season will not be played in its totality, you may win 20. It's certainly not even money. You bet a Benjamin that the Jefferson District football season is not played in totality, maybe you win $20. Maybe. And I think that might be ambitious. Heck, it might even be 10. It's definitely not even money. We'll follow that closely, but remember what I just said here. Remember what I just said. The crystal ball on this network has proven to be very, 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 very good. Skooma Boutique Dispensary, presenting sponsor of this show. Guys, I went to talk to David at Skooma Boutique Dispensary. I said, David, you're the expert on CBD. You're the expert on Delta 8. I'm having a hard time sleeping. Do you have anything you can offer here? He said, I sure do, Jerry. I'm sleeping better than ever before. Skooma Boutique Dispensary next to Rapture. If you have sleeping problems, you go into David at Skooma Boutique Dispensary. You say, Jerry has had some sleep issues with the I Love CVille show, and he says you can help remedy this for me. My father-in-law is doing it. My better half's uncle is doing it, and some of her cousins. And we all say the same thing. We have the deepest sleep we have had in a really long time. Skooma Boutique Dispensary. Remember, we launched a new show on the I Love CVille Network, Mondays at 10:15 a.m., called the Monday Market Monitor, with Nikki Chambliss, the CEO of Keller Williams Alliance in this market, and Mr. Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman, one of the principals of Yes Realty Partners. The Monday Market Monitor, 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network. All right, let's get to some comments. This is from Angela Sherling. Jerry, I absolutely love this show, and when I can't watch it in person, I'm listening to it in my car. In fact, my kids asked for you to come on the show while we're driving around. And while you sometimes use some profanities that I'm not crazy about, I love that you relay local content to us, content we're not getting anywhere else. Thank you for spotlighting the wine bar on the mall. My husband and I will plan a date there this weekend. Well, thank you for saying that. Thank you very much. This one is from Vic Hamilton. Vic Hamilton says this: Jerry, you're 100% right. How can the governor allow gambling for casinos and the DraftKings of the world, but take away the machines in those gas stations? That seems like a contradiction. I wonder if this is something that will come back to market once the election's over. Perhaps the Democrats, who are certainly a favorite to win this election and a new seat in the governor's office, we know Terry McAuliffe is going to get the win. Perhaps they're waiting till after the election before they make a decision on these so-called skill games. Thank you for the show, Jerry. This is from Bridget. Ooh, she disagrees with me. Jerry, I cannot disagree with you more. Louisa County is giving the rights to its parents to determine whether or not their kids wear masks in school. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Moms and dads determine what their kids do at school and then pass their kids to teachers. It is not up to a superintendent, a school board, or city or county or municipality leadership to determine what our children do. That's my take and my 2 cents. I respect that, Bridget. I respect when people disagree with me. You disagree with me, I embrace it. Please disagree with me. I embrace it. I welcome disagreement. Respectful disagreement leads to discourse where we can all learn from. This is from Scott Matty. Scott Matty says this: Jerry, I love your show. I watch often, usually on YouTube. Sometimes you don't stream to YouTube, which really irritates me because I don't have a Facebook account. All right, did you hear that, Judah? We got to make sure we stream to YouTube for Scott Matty. He says this: there's no chance the Jefferson District football schedule will be played at its totality. Of any sport at the high school level, which is the riskiest to play during a pandemic? It's got to be football. You have the most amount of kids on a roster. You have them working out in poorly ventilated weight rooms, and they're jumping on top of each other to make tackles. You said if you bet $100, you may win 20 if the Jefferson District football season is canceled. I think if you bet $100, you may win $1 or $2. There's no chance this season is played from start to finish. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for those comments. In fact, you know what? Why don't we send... we're going to send the I Love CVille sticker. We'll cover the cost to everyone whose name I just read off. I will send you a brand new I Love CVille sticker to you. I'll cover the postage. We will mail them to your houses as a thank you for contributing to today's program. Thank you. We love when we get comments from viewers and guests. Thank you. All right, that's the show, guys. I'm out tomorrow. I'm taking a long weekend in Brooklyn tomorrow. I'm hopping an Amtrak from Charlottesville, and I'm taking that Amtrak to Penn Station, then hopping a cab to Brooklyn, where I'm going to meet my better half. We're going to stay in a nice hotel, little wine and dine, little dinner and dance, a little romance and conversation, a little fun in the Big Apple, Brooklyn to be specific. Long weekend, a well-deserved long weekend. Thank you for joining us on a glorious day here in Central Virginia. My name is Jerry Miller for Judah Wickhauer. This is the I Love CVille Show.